Hello students, first let me introduce myself. My name is Arna Prasad and I have completed Masters in Physics with specialization of Electronics in the year 2007 from Jivaji University Gwalior, and there I have been a silver medalist. After that I have a 3 years of teaching experience, particularly in online tutoring, and there I have taught from lower grades to higher grade also, in higher grade especially physics, as physics is my subject. So continuation with that, let us just come to the point. As we all know that we are here to cover the subject physics, as I teach physics till 12th grade for the CUET exams. So first let us start with what is the topic, what are the topics and the chapters, the units which I am going to cover for you to score good marks in your exams. So as you can see here on the screen, the first unit, let us start with, which I am going to cover. Let's just have a small introduction, a brief introduction. Just let us go through the chapters which we are going to cover. The first unit is the electrostatics. Of course, we all know the very first chapter of the your subject physics, 11th grade, and there what we are going to learn about the charges, what rules they follow, on what principles they move, and what is the field in which they move, the electric field, electric flux, electric potential between them, and what are conductors, insulators, capacitors, dielectrics, etc. Everything, all these things we are going to cover under electrostatics chapter. After that, in unit second, as you can see, the name of the unit is current electricity, in which we are going to cover the electric current, of course, as the name is. Apart from which, all the Kirchhoff laws, Wheatstone bridge, potentiometer, and all these topics are also very, very important. Next, let us see what is the next unit, that is unit third, that is magnetism. We will learn about magnetism. We all know, we already have a brief introduction of this topic of especially magnetism. What is magnetism, how does it behave, and everything about it in your lower grade. But as the grade is 12th, we will understand something more very deep about this magnetism, in which we will cover the Ampere's law, cyclotron, moving coil, galvanometer, and all these topics. After that, unit 4 covers electromagnetic induction and AC, that is alternating current, in which we will cover we will understand how does the AC generator works, what are transformers, and all that. Next is unit 5th, that is electromagnetic waves, in which I am going to teach you how does the waves behave, what is the characteristics, their principles again, and what is the spectrum, the electromagnetic spectrum, how does it look like, and all of these things related to the waves. Next, unit 6th, of course, as the name is optics, we will learn about the light, of course. So what is light, what is their properties regarding reflection, refraction, total internal reflection, that is one of the most important topics of optics, and magnification, power of lens, microscope, how we are able to view different objects in bigger scope from microscope, astronomical telescopes, Huygens principle, and all these things under it. Next, unit 7th, dual nature of matter and radiation. We will learn about in this category the how does the matter behaves both as particle and as wave nature. How does it shows the dual nature? We will learn through different experiments performed by Hertz and Lennard, and what is the Broglie's relation and photoelectric effect, everything. Next, unit 8 is atom and nuclear. We will learn about how does the atom, what is the structure of atom, how the charges and the nucleus is inside it is present, how does the charges behave. We will learn through the alpha particle scattering experiment, and the Force model, of course, which we have already learned in lower grades, but everything we will study in detailed manner. And Bohr's model, radioactivity is one of the most important topics which you should learn. And last but not the least, the last two topics are unit 9th, electronic devices, in which what are semiconductors, what are transistors, oscillators we will cover, and little bit different but interesting topic, that is what are logic gates. We will also learn it, and where the logic gates are used. For example, the appliances, the devices which we use in our daily life, how do they use the logic gates as on-off condition. For example, your laptop, your Wi-Fi, your fridge, like all the devices, your gadgets, how do they use the logic gates, we will learn under electronic devices. Last one is unit 10th, that is communication system, in which we will learn how do the communication system, the bandwidth, how does the signals bandwidth, what is the range of them, and how do they behave, how do the communication system transmit the, how do they perform the communication, how do they transmit the rays and everything in space. We will learn all these things. Okay, so this is the small introduction what I am going to teach you for your CUET exams. Next, so as I already told you, the very first chapter is electrostatics. So let us just have a brief introduction to start with electrostatics today. So can I get to know, students, like as the name is electrostatic force, electrostatics. So first we will start with the electrostatic force. So what is the term electrostatic? As we should first know this its definition. It is very necessary, mandatory. Yes, of course, you can try. Yes, of course, electrostatic is made up of, it is a combined form of two words, electro and static. So can you tell me about electro? What is the term electro, and like electro related to? Yes, of course, electric charge, very true. And what is static? Let me tell you, static means rest, anything which is at rest. So here, since this static term is related to electro, so we will learn the electric charges. How does the electric charge behave when they are at rest? The important point or the important condition to be followed in this chapter is the charges should be always on rest. Then only the rules which we will learn here, which you can see here, the overview of the 7 topics which we are going to cover, they will be followed. If they will move, these rules will not be followed. Okay. So keeping these things in mind, let us start with the first part, that is frictional electricity. Okay. Now, as you can see here in front of you, the image of like 2 pictures are there. Fine. And as the term is frictional electricity, so can you correlate this frictional electricity with the friction which we face in our daily life while doing our daily work? If you have learned so far. Yes, of course, you can try. You can give the example. You have learned a lot in your lower grades about this frictional part, this frictional force, something like that. Yes, of course, when you walk, very true. The best example of friction is, one of the best examples is, when you walk, the frictional forces experience. We are able to walk because of friction only. If there would be not have been any friction, we would not have been we will not be able to walk, and हम लोग गिर जाएंगे, we will fall. Because of friction only we are able to walk. So keeping these things in mind, we can relate it with here frictional electricity also. So what is frictional electricity? For that, let us see how the electric charges are transferred by through 2 examples. As you can see here, the first picture shows a rod. This is a rod which is of blue color, and it is rubbed with a silk cloth. Okay, this is the silk cloth which is shown with pink color here, and in the second case you can see there is another rod which is ebonite rod and a fur cloth, flannel is the fur, is an example of fur cloth only, which is when rubbed with the ebonite cloth, 2 cases arise. Okay, they both are just opposite to each other. How they both are just opposite? As if you will see closely, you can see that here, when the 2 objects or substances are rubbed with each other, what happens? The electrons, as you can see here, this is electrons in glasses, they get transferred to the silk cloth. So you can see here, if a substance get deficient in electrons, we show it by the positive sign. So we can see here the glass loses the electrons, well, since they are loosely bound in the outermost orbit of the glass. So that's why the outermost electrons get they like transfer get skipped. They are moved from the outermost orbit of the glass and they get transferred to the silk cloth, and that's why since it is transferred, the silk cloth gets negatively charged. Okay, and opposite is the case here. You can see what happens here. The ebonite, when the fur cloth is rubbed with ebonite, the fur cloth gets positively charged, as here opposite is the case. Fur cloth is having loosely bound electrons and it is transferred to the ebonite rod. Okay, so like this is the example which we can see, through which we can understand what is frictional electricity. Why friction? Because of friction only we are able to rub the charges and these all like things happen and the electrons are transferred. So basically, what is frictional electricity? We can see the definition here. So frictional electricity is the electricity produced by rubbing two suitable bodies and transfer of electrons from one body to another. So this is the electricity. Now here, as up till now, any questions like what we have covered so far? Yes, we can have other examples also. I was already going to cover in the next slide. As you can see, इन दो एग्जाम्पल्स के अलावा भी बहुत सारी दूसरे एग्जाम्पल्स है. You can see in this part. So here in the first column, there are positive charges, like not positive charges, sorry, there are the objects like glass, wool, flannel, fur cloth, ebonite and dry hair also. If you remember in 9th and 10th grade, you would have been asked, like one experiment you would have done, even I have done when I was in my age. हम लोग अपने बालों से, जो कॉम से अपने बालों को, the condition is the hair should be dry. If it is oily, then this like transfer of electrons cannot take place. If you will rub some material like hair, scale with your hair, so what will happen? Again, that the electrons will get transferred, and due to which what will happen? अगर आप रब करके और स्केल को किसी कुछ पेपर्स के टुकड़ों पर के पास लाओगे, those papers will get stick to the scale. So have you tried it earlier? Yes, good. So I hope you can understand like what I am talking about. So these are the examples of positive charge. Like dry hair gets get deficient of electrons, so the electrons are loosely bound, they lose it. And in column 2 you can see comb, it gets negatively charged, it takes the electrons. So apart from it, silk, amber, ebonite, rubber, plastic, polythene, these all are the examples of the substances which always accept electrons. Okay, they have the power of accepting the electrons which are lost from other objects. And apart from it, this part I have already covered. I hope you would already understand. If the electrons are transferred, then obviously there is deficiency of electrons. It is called, the body is said to be positive. Always remember it is positive. And the negative charge which is shown, it represents that there is more number of electrons, excess of electrons. Okay, they are not division, they are more in number. Okay, so are you ready to move to the next part? Okay. So next we are going to learn some properties of charges we should know, since we are dealing with electrostatic charges. So this first point we have already covered, that they exist on like there are mostly two types of charges, that is positive and negative. Now is it true there exist only two types of charges, positive and negative? Someone can tell me? Yes, and just think twice. Yes, of course, neutrons. What I was talking about. Neutrons क्या होते हैं? Neutrons के कोई charge होते हैं? No, that's why they are not considered. Since they are not having any charge, it is neutral. So we will not deal with these charges. Because they are neutral, they will not play any role. They remain inside the nucleus. So we will consider only the charges which are positive and negative in this chapter. Okay, fine. Now next is, this is also understood, like charges repel and unlike charges attract each other, similar to the condition like if you would have noticed when you have learned about magnetism, when two magnets are brought together, depending upon the conditions वो किस टाइप से एक दूसरे के नियर आते हैं. Sometimes they repel, कभी कभी वो एक दूसरे से दूर भागते हैं. Similar is the case with the charges also. When they are of same type, like if they both are positive, they will repel each other, they will move away. And if they are opposite in nature, like if this is positive or this is negative, or vice versa, this is negative, this is positive, they will come closer to each other, they will attract each other. Okay students, so this much is enough for today. I hope we have covered, like today we had gathered only for a small introduction of what we are going to start with. So I hope you like the like starting part, और हम लोग नेक्स्ट पार्ट में इसके आगे और भी चैप्टर्स कवर करेंगे. आफ्टर दैट, लाइक टिल देन जो भी हमने पढ़ा उसे रिवाइज करिएगा. ओके, बाय बाय स्टूडेंट्स, बाय बाय.